All right, I want to start today with a little data, some numbers. One often repeated claim about gun violence in the United States is the gun violence is a problem in so-called Democrat cities with the strictest gun laws in the country. And there's sort of two claims that the right loves to make that are implicit in that. One, the problems with gun violence are in places that try to restrict guns, meaning restrictive gun laws increase violence and murder. And the second claim is the most violent places are the places run by Democrats. I put together data in a few different ways, and we're going to look at it. But the most important, before even looking at the data, one of the things you have to remember is that in general, there is more crime in more densely populated areas. The more densely populated areas tend to be places where people on the left tend to live. But the truth is that the more violent cities and the least violent cities are all mostly run by Democrats because Democrats prefer to live in cities, whereas Republicans prefer to live in rural areas, generally speaking. So one of the things you first have to think about is what does the country look like before we even can make any causal claims? But that being said, let's take a look at some of this data. So what I did was I took the, where am I here? Here we go. I took the 65 cities with the highest murder rates in the country, and that's along the left. And you can find this data. And those are the cities that I have listed. And then we looked at who is the mayor of those cities and are they a Democrat or a Republican? And then at the county level, was that a Biden county or a Trump county in 2020? And then at the state level, was that a Trump state or a Biden state in 2020? Now, I have to tell you, even doing this is a little fraught because there are certain states, Virginia, a bunch of these cities are in Virginia. In 2020, Biden won, but sometimes Republicans win Virginia. So some of these states are question marks. Ohio is a state that sometimes flips. Florida is a state that sometimes flips. But there's a trend here that is very clear. The cities with the highest murder rates, at the city level, it's mostly Democratic mayors. Now, we would expect that. That makes perfect sense. Cities tend to be run by Democrats. If we looked at a list of the cities with the least gun violence, you would also see that they're mostly run by Democrats. Cities often make up the entire county in which they are or close to it. In New York City, actually, the city includes multiple counties. Brooklyn's in Kings County, whereas Manhattan, some people sort of understand that. But generally speaking, you would assume that the county would be similar to the city in that cities and counties often are the same size or very close to it. And most of the counties that contain these cities were Biden counties. Well, is that a big revelation about gun violence? Not really. Because if you look at the entire map of the United States by county, we know that cities tend to vote for Democrats and all the other counties tend to vote for Republicans typically. So cities on the most dangerous list and cities on the least dangerous list would all be would be Democratic counties. And then lastly, you look at the state level. And when you look at the state level, you see that there's a lot of red there. A lot of red. Trump states that Trump won. And when we want to draw a causal relationship, one of the questions we have to ask is whether gun policy tends to be set at the city, county, or state level. And it's mostly at the state level. So if we understand most of the murders will be where there is more population density, but the gun laws are mostly going to be set at the state level, you have to ask, well, does St. Louis have a lot of murders because the mayor is a Democrat or because it's a red state with red state gun laws? I'm not pretending that the answer in all cases is one or the other. But if we understand that it's mostly states that determine gun policy, although there are some cities that will go above and beyond, that's absolutely the case. And we understand that at the base rate, Democrats tend to live more in cities than Republicans. And we understand that even if you're in Chicago, Chicago's gun laws, if you can drive into Indiana at the end of the day, don't really impact your ability to get a gun very much unless there's a cohesive effort. This repeated talking point of gun violence is a Democrat city problem very quickly falls apart. Now, I am totally open to exploring other explanations. Let me give you another one. We can also accurately say gun violence seems to be a red state problem. But there as well, I'm willing to say maybe access to mental health is part of it. We've got to deal with the guns, but maybe mental health is part of it. But it's the red states that fund mental health services less than blue states. We looked at that earlier this week. It's the red states like Texas that have governors like Greg Abbott, who recently voted against more funding for mental health treatment. So I say, let's look at all of these things, but we have to include guns in that. And we have to understand Democrat city problem is not accurate. And there's no particular reason to look at cities rather than states. When you look at states, it's a red state problem. If you look at cities, it's a Democrat problem only in the sense that most cities are run by Democrats, the really safe ones and the unsafe ones. So I think you get the picture. We're going to continue following up on this. One of our sponsors is Crush Organics. These guys are awesome. They support the show. They have an excellent collection of premium grade organic CBD products. Crush Organics has your oils, your topical creams, gummies. They even have these great experience gift boxes, which are great for sending to someone. This is the one I received, really beautifully packaged. Crush has a daytime CBD blend in peppermint, as well as a nighttime blend. Lots of people report CBD being helpful for sleep. Crush's CBD topical cream can be used on joints and muscles. Definitely try the gummies too. Those are great. Some people prefer the gummies over the oils. Crush Organics care a lot about quality, so you can feel good about getting your CBD from them. They're always dropping new products. Pay attention to the site. And Crush Organics are fans of the David Pakman Show, just like you, I hope. So they're giving you a massive discount, 40% off all products. Go to crushorganics.us and use the code PAKMAN to save 40%. The link is down below.